I'm going to just quickly go over the information given to you guys by Zook.
Okay.
Sounds legit.
Zook discovered that there is an Assassin's Guild operating out of Garrett.
Yep.
And this guild is responsible for the death of King Relis. And this king rules from a city that's 2 days travel inland, but theoretically has jurisdiction as far as Garrett. He was given 3 pieces of evidence that were found at the crime scene. The first was a red velvet button that is said to be from the vest of, what was his name? Abraham, who is the owner of the inn here in Garrett. And a man fitting Abraham's description was seen in the city of Caer Tyrell purchasing beer in large quantities. The second piece of evidence was a golden harp string that is said to belong to an instrument of Linus Harpstring, who owns and operates the Theater of Mystic Senses. Mystic Senses? Is that what it's called?
Mystic Celebration is what I remember.
Mystic Celebration, that's correct. And a man matching Linus's description was seen in Terracairel performing music with a golden harp that same night. The final piece of evidence is a holy symbol of Osprem, denoting 3 barracudas. That is known to be specifically the holy symbol of the High Priest of Osprem, who resides here in Garrett, whose name is Harper. And all 3 of these men were not seen in Garrett on Sunday night. As far as anybody knows, nobody knows where they were. None of them have an alibi.
Okay.
How far away is Caer something? Sorry, I was going to ask this question earlier, but then the name slipped out of my head.
Depending on how you travel, it could be anywhere from 1 to 2 days of travel.
Okay.
If you know the road and you ride hard, you could probably clear it in just under a day.
All right.
Now, in addition, you are told by Zook that apparently the High Priest, Harper, used to be, at one point, a member of the Guild of Shadows, who Zook also operates out of.
Okay.
And that's that plus the finding of that holy symbol at the crime scene. Zook's Guild of Shadow contacts here in town. His name was Pliska, I believe. That's why he believes that the High Priest may have ties with this particular Assassin's Guild. So the murder of King Grellis happened on Sunday, and it is now Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
no,
Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, Tuesday, late Tuesday afternoon, because you all went out and killed an octopus.
Right.
Yep. Because why not?
Now, the Queen of Caer Tyrell, currently in mourning, and Zook and his contact believe that she may be at risk as well from the same guild. So the charge put to you all is to determine who the members of this Assassin's Guild are, and cleaning them out of Garrett, so the Guild of Shadows can come back in with their foothold and to retake control of the town.
Alright, so I remember that I think after the octopus hunt was over, Tarik and wait, I haven't played in too long. Tarin, not Tarik. Yeah, Tarin and Orphan were supposed to go over and see the lady of the town.
Yeah, the Lady Mayor.
Yeah,
I decidedly remember being invited to Octopus Dinner.
Yeah, Octopus Dinner was going to happen.
I believe that was a conditional. If we got the octopus, they would cook it for us for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lady Mayor, her name is Arnes, and she's known to be a powerful magic user in town. And she resides up at the castle with various sundry characters. So you're going to march up to the castle and present the carcass of this giant octopus.
Yep.
Oh, hells yeah.
Now, Block, the half-orc, who came to Zook with this job, he took this giant ink sac out of this octopus, thanked you all for his time, and he went off on his way.
Okay.
Yay, ink sack.
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, that. I'm sure that won't come back to bite anybody ever. We only spent a banana on that, so.
Let's be real, it's probably going to come back to bite Zook, knowing how the last session went.
Oh, in fact,
that?
none of you have met the Lady Mayor yet. One of you met Armax, who is one of her magicians.
That was me.
You went up and
was
spoke to
Eldove.
Armax. Okay. And she's the one who... And she's the one who said, bring the octopus back up and we'll have a big feast.
I
Yeah.
found your castle guards.
Accidentally closed Tabletop Simulator.
I need
Yeah,
to-
you had a good encounter with them, Nick.
Yeah.
100% legal. Legal seafood.
I'm going to go ahead and tweet out that we're playing Flumph Times. Alright.
I know other McDohl tweeted it out already.
Who is
Yes,
shaking
I-
dice and why is that happening?
I am, and it's because I was really interested in the fact that the dice were like flipping when I moved the mouse like a minor direction.
So, you guys bundle up this giant octopus carcass. And as the sun begins going down, you bring it up towards the castle. And a cadre of guards meet you outside of the gate. Look you over. And see that you're... Like, how are you transporting this giant octopus carcass?
Wagon.
Who's pulling this wagon?
Don't look at me. I'm the
A
sea guy.
a horse-like creature.
So you've hired a wagon to bring it. I'm just hoping, like, if you just load it up like a rickshaw, and you have Khalil just walking it up the road. Just
No, there is a pseudo-real horse-like creature pulling the wagon.
oh god, this is one of your Mary Sue spells,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes,
Yep, it is.
Okay.
This spell is great. Did they fly yet?
If
do
you
you have to
cast
do to
fly
make
on
this-
it,
What do you have to do to make Phantom Steeds fly in this edition?
you don't have to cast fly on it.
Oh, really?
So
That sucks.
why didn't you do that?
Because it's a wagon. Can't cast fly on a wagon. Wait, can we cast fly on a wagon?
No, you can't. you can cast levitate on a wagon, or you can balance it on top of Tensier's floating disc. Those are your options.
You mean we
But-
can't make it fly?
Yeah, the guards meet you at the castle gate. Ask you what your business is, bringing this wagon up the road.
I'm gonna stand up from on top of the wagon, and I'm going to say, Lady Orbax kindly agreed to provide dinner for her conquering heroes if we brought this octopus back.
Was there a break in time between when we killed this octopus and we started hauling it to the manor?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
We just started hauling this to the manor.
No, there was no break
Well,
in time.
the last session ended with me going to the manor, but I'm guessing that didn't happen now.
Oh, no,
So
it's
that's
fine.
fine.
I'm just wondering whether or not I'm like still decked out in my octopus killing garb.
I imagine,
yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the guards sends the runner inside the castle, and after a few moments, I actually have this character's name here. One of the workers from the kitchen. Do I have this character's name?
Is it a half-orc?
It's not a half-orc.
Wait, is it? Does he have a half-orc name?
No. Actually, there is a half-orc in the kitchen, as far as this is concerned, in the module. But half-orcs are dumb, so no, that's not a half-orc.
racist.
No, one of the cooks comes out, the head of the kitchens, an old gray-haired woman named Yelda, and she has several of the kitchen servants. They come out, and you are thanked for your tribute of the slain giant octopus, and they're ready to collect it, bring it into the kitchen, and prepare it for a fantastic feast tomorrow for the denizens of the castle and for the conquering party.
Hells yeah.
So the servants gather up this giant octopus from the back of the wagon, and they begin hauling it inside. They have to butcher the tentacles off of it so they can make it easier to carry.
I hope they're careful with my octopus.
And they seem rather excited. They speak amongst themselves on various ways they could prepare this large octopus. And then before long, you're thanked for your tribute, and you're standing in front of the castle with the empty wagon.
Eldove recommends cooking the tentacles each 8 different ways.
And eventually, the portcullis comes down for the castle. The doors close.
Oops.
And the guard patrol begins walking the wall. And you all are still standing there with your empty wagon.
Oh no, I left on my pseudo-real horse-like creature.
Oh my god. So all of you except Nodal. Because he left on a pseudo-real horse-like creature.
Yeah.
Well, I have to bring this wagon back.
That's true. The wagon was only on loan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the inn to change clothes for the performance tonight.
Okay. So, what is everyone's evening actions? There is a performance tonight at the Theater of Mystic Celebration. Fred has spent all of his time in town at that location.
I'm gonna go meet up with Fred.
Yeah, I guess if this is a thing. I guess if we're going to the theater.
So, I believe it's pronounced theater.
Okay, I guess if we're going to the theater,
There you go.
and that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just in favor of Mystic Celebration. So.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, Tarin will go to the theater.
Okay, when you arrive at the theater is number 4 here. Ding.
Khalil would not have wanted to go. He would have rather offered his services as an investigator for this investigation to the town guard.
So, who do you offer these services to? To the guards when you're standing up at the castle?
Yes.
So wait, who was killed?
King Grellis.
And that's not here, right?
But he has jurisdiction over the city.
Yes, Garreton falls within his borders.
Okay.
But
so,
he was-
how
he-
far are we talking?
He was
About
killed
days.
in Caer Tyrell, which is 1 or 2 days' travel away. It's further inland.
Okay.
And that happened on Sunday.
And today is...
Today's Tuesday. It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday evening. Now,
Okay.
upon offering the services of the investigation to the guards, the guard responds that he's not aware there was any investigation. Says, do you have information regarding the king's death?
Only what has been rumored about town.
And at that, the guards kind of snicker amongst themselves and says, yeah, we've heard the rumors too. Suffice it to say that nothing in Garreton, that these guards are not aware of any kind of investigation going on. And if you press them, they're not really sure what the death of the king has to do with them, or the Lady Mayor, or the town of Garreton in general.
Alright then, fair enough. I'll return to the inn then.
Yeah. Remember, this investigation was brought to your attention through the Guild of Shadows, not through any official channel.
Yeah, I know.
So, did the Guild of Shadows say they wanted us to take care of the assassins, or...?
The Guild of Shadows used to have more power in this region. They used to have agents operating out of this town and out of Caer Tyrell, but this particular Assassin's Guild has sprung up over the past couple of years and have either killed or run all of the guild's operatives out. Except
Okay,
for...
so there is an Assassin's Guild. It's not like a fake Assassin's Guild.
As far as you know, yeah, the Assassin's Guild operates out of this town. There's been rumors.
Okay.
The saying always goes, if you want someone killed, go to Garreton. But what you've heard from Zook is that the rumors have been confirmed, and someone in this town is operating this guild.
Okay.
And it's possibly the High Priest.
And it's possibly High Priest Harper.
There was there was another
Arik
thing
thinks
too.
that's total bullshit.
There was another thing too, which was the ship guy.
The captain.
I won that card game, and he said the ship guy doesn't have a ship.
Right.
Oh, Captain.
The smuggler.
Yeah, Captain.
I wanted to do
Captain Basmar with the
Captain
big...
Cocaine.
Basmar, that's it. I kept wanting to say Braskin for some reason.
Captain Magic Toke.
The one that gave Orphan the awesome LSD trip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Basmar. What you know about him, just to refresh everybody's memory, is he is apparently a smuggler. He operates outside of the king's law. He does so very openly. He feels like he's untouchable, and you've heard that someone in the castle is protecting him legally. So the guards don't have a lot of leeway to just snatch him up, even though he is bragging about being a smuggler in the middle of the inn. And then when Eldove milked some information out of that gambler, the gambler told him that Basmar does not own a boat. And I think that's all the other headway you made. So, you go to the Theater of Mystic Celebration. And tickets for the show, for tonight's show, are on sale until 8 p.m. The tickets are 2 silver pieces a head.
Oh, Fred can't
Right, yeah, Fred's not going to get us in.
What the hell?
No.
Bullshit.
Sure.
Man.
Nobody here knows that you're Fred's acquaintance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask to see Fred.
Boom, boom.
I'll just go. I'll go ahead and pay my way in.
I'm just going to pay my way in.
No, it's a matter of standards here. I got Fred that nice
sure.
goddamn wine. He can...
I would
You can
like
get
to
us into the theater.
remind the viewers that Eldove has a magic coin. That it literally costs him nothing to pull 2 silver
It's
pieces.
a matter of principle. I'm not getting into the cheap seats like some kind of commoner.
Eldove sure loves his principles.
Unfortunately, Fred and the other performers are busy getting ready for tonight's performance. And they...
Oh, Fred's in the performance? Oh,
Yes.
I'll pay.
He has been a guest performer all week.
In fact, I will pay everyone's tickets.
Too late. My 2 silver pieces are gone.
Oh well, thank you, Eldove.
Don't worry about it, Orphan.
And you were led
Always happy to do a good turn.
into this auditorium. It's packed, so you guys are shown your seats. You have a nice view of the stage. A lot of the townsfolk are in here, watching the performance. And at 8:30, the curtains open. And I'm going to read you exactly what the book says.
Oh boy.
Alright.
About this performance. This is
Okay.
This is the complete description of the shows. Okay, quoting
Right.
from this first edition module.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Is complete spelled COMPLEAT?
Yes. Here it is. This is what you get, and this is the same module that had that entire shop inventory list.
Right. All the hats.
The shows are very entertaining. That's it.
How many hats are the performers wearing?
Okay, but Fred's in this one.
Is this
So
like
does
some
it get
TF2
bobbed up
hat
to-
stacks?
Extremely entertaining.
I was sort of hoping there was like a table and you'd have to roll dice to figure out how entertaining the show was.
Just one line, just very matter-of-factly. It says the shows are very entertaining.
No, one second. I'm gonna get a couple D10s out, and we can work out a percentile for how entertaining this show was.
No, I'm telling you, there's no roll required. It was very entertaining. You are all very entertained. Now,
Can
Many
I say
of you-
versus being very entertained.
Many of you have heard Fred's bawdy songs before and have been very entertained aboard the ship. And Fred does indeed have a prominent role in this particular performance. The owner of the theater, Linus himself, is not in the performance. But he has many people in the theater troupe, many of which are low-level illusionists or whatever, so there are very nice stage effects that happen in the show. And Fred gives a rousing rendition of this very heartfelt ballad that would be very uncharacteristic coming out of Fred's mouth, but he gives the performance with all of his moxie and vigor, and you all are very entertained. No save.
I cast Minor Illusion to produce extra rounds of clapping.
We are all hooting and hollering at the performance, I'm sure.
By the way, I just assumed, McDohl, that Khalil had a trait that made him automatically succeed against amusement.
Khalil
Actually, yes.
is the only one who's not very entertained.
Because he's not there.
I imagine Khalil being like, I had fun once and it was awful.
It was extremely unpleasant.
So the show ends, and your small group is approached by one of the stagehands, saying that you've been invited backstage by one of the performers.
Oh,
Is it Fred?
Yeah, I asked which performer.
He says, in fact, it is Fred.
Huzzah!
Oh, that's the only performer I care about. Let's go.
See, oh yeah, you're getting into the whole first edition thing by saying huzzah. That's pretty awesome.
And you are taken back to the, for lack of a better term, to the after party, back in one of the dressing rooms. Much smaller, cramped space. And Fred is back there, and when he sees you all have come to the performance, his eyes light up. My friends! Welcome to the Theater of Mystic Celebration. Because I trust you all enjoyed the show.
It was
Yes.
very entertaining.
It was very entertaining.
Beat me to it. We were very entertained, Fred.
I'm just imagining there's like a theater reviewer or something in Garrett, and he just prints every day. The show was very entertaining.
Brick, look up on that fucking table. Maybe you'll see number 37, theater reviewer.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I might.
Maybe you'll find out how many hats he has.
Excuse me. But Fred introduces you around to some of the other performers. He introduces you to Phyllis. She's one of the young illusionists. She provides a lot of the stage effects that you saw. And you're introduced to, again, first edition module, I shit you not. You're introduced to Black Beauty, who is a talking crow who occasionally
hat for it?
performs in the show. No, Black Beauty is a crow, like a bird, like a, as in a feast for.
Okay.
I whisper over to Eldove. I'm curious if this is someone's familiar, but I feel it would be rude to ask.
And you're also introduced to the three stagehands, who help set up the props for the show and who also have bit parts. Marvin, Wilbur, and Arthur.
Who's the main stagehand? Who's the head?
There's not really a main stagehand. They're all in training. They're all under Linus's tutelage, studying to be bards and performers.
I'll ask Fred if his mentor Balmoro is here.
There is no mentor Balmoro.
I have that in my notes from last session.
No, I changed Balmoro to Linus.
Oh,
Balmora got bananaed.
Also, I think you mean Bartholomew.
yeah, possibly.
I thought that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Bartholomew.
I'll
Yeah,
ask
it was
him-
Bartholomew. Yes.
I'll ask him in that case if he can introduce us to his mentor.
And he nods. He says, I'd be happy to do so. He says, Linus very rarely watches the performances. These are all shows that, and songs that he's written throughout the years, and he tends to oversee the day-to-day machinations of the theater from behind the curtain, if you will. And he leads you outside after this little small house behind number 4 here. And sitting on the chair in front of the house is the old bard. Looks to be in his 40s or so. You can see the lines on his face, but his hair is still this vibrant and brilliant gold, and it falls in curly locks down over his shoulders. And he's got
I compliment him on his hair.
This is why we couldn't play last week, because if I tried to play last week, I would not have been able to do Linus's voice. Now, a little bit of background. Linus Harpstring is a character that I've played in D&D many times. This is, like, one of my favorite bards. And I always do the voice.
Alright.
As you approach the bard sitting in front of his house, smoking on his pipe, he sets it aside and stands up and opens his arms. He says, "Any friends of Fred are welcome in the house of Linus Harpstring." He says, "Come, come, my friends, let us partake of wine until the blackness overtakes us." And he invites you inside.
Right. I'm up for some wine. I'm up for some blackness. I'll follow him inside.
Sure.
I know, man.
I feel like you've become too acquainted with blackness.
I know, right?
Orphan's all about passing out now.
And you go inside Linus's little one-room cottage. And from what Fred has told you, Linus was an adventurer for many, many years. And you would not know that just by looking at the house he keeps. It's very plain, very simple, very little ornamentation in it. He has a bed along one wall. He has a chest and dressers along the other. He has a desk at the far end of the room that's stacked up with books, journals, logs, ink and quill, management materials, you imagine, for the theater. The only element of decoration in the room, really, beyond the simple rug on the floor, is a golden harp hanging above his bed on a wall. Something that Edward would have carried out of Final Fantasy II.
Mm-hmm.
And it is indeed made of gold, and it is strung with glittering golden harp strings, except for one, which is missing. And Linus comes in, takes a bottle off one of the shelves, and begins filling wine glasses with this deep red wine, and he hands them out to you all.
I'll say to him, I'm sorry it took us so long to enjoy your show. We had wanted to come. We arrived Sunday evening and hoped to catch it then, but it seemed the theater was closed.
And he says, "Well, yes, of course, you had to see the many wondrous sights of Garreton."
Eldove compliments Linus on his fabulous taste in hair and harps.
Linus asks if you play.
Eldove, oh shit, what did I say I played? I think it was a violin.
A
That
violin?
seemed suitably obnoxious.
Do you actually have that on your character sheet that you play the violin?
I think so.
I just see
I'm not-
cards. Under your proficiencies. Yeah, the only tool you're proficient in is cards.
Oh yeah, I'm not proficient in the violin, but I have a very high performance, so I just said I had played the violin.
Gotcha. And Linus takes the harp down off of the wall. As I would regale you with the most beautiful music your ears have ever beheld, but alas, one of the strings is broken and gone missing. This is one of the stagehands was handling the harp not long ago and broke a string off, and I have yet to replace it. Simply a tragedy, I tell you.
That's terrible. Which stagehand was it?
Fred chimes up, says it was that lout Wilbur, the one with thumbs for fingers.
Can I roll to see if I think he's telling the truth.
Sure.
Okay. Is that insight or perception?
That is insight.
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 Wait, are you rolling against Fred or against Linus?
Against Linus. So that's a 15.
Okay. As far as you can tell, this is the story, yeah. Wilbur was handling this particular harp for reasons unknown to Linus, and one of the strings was broken, and they have yet to replace it. And Linus regales you all with the tales of the lengths he has to go through to get these gilded harp strings made, and he had to send a whole cadre of merchants to faraway lands in order to pull it out of a shimmering pool. That part, you get the sense there was a little bit of exaggeration. There was some creative license taken with the tale there.
Arik is giving a flat stare to Linus.
I ask him if Fred has told him the story of how I scared away a dragon.
Before we get into that, Zook had the 3 pieces of evidence. I'm going to say that he passed them off to you guys. So who's holding what at the moment? There was the velvet button, the golden harp string, and the High Priest's holy symbol.
I feel like Eldove would probably be the one to have them, since he was the one Zook was talking to about a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably have them.
Yeah, that's fine. The only other thing the only other thing I think we might have done with them would be lock them up in the ship's hold. But if someone wants to carry them, that's fine with me.
So are you carrying them, Eldove?
Yes.
Okay. And you ask if what was it you asked of Linus if Fred had told him?
I asked if Fred told him the story about how I scared away a dragon.
And Linus laughs. Says, "My friends, yes, let us compare stories of the dragons we've slayed. What was the name of the vicious beast that you laid to rest?"
I tell him, oh, I didn't bother to ask the dragon what his name was before I slew him.
Oh, you've committed the greatest of sins. You cannot send a monster of that magnitude out of the world without first knowing its story.
If you want to come ask it, we have it in the ship. It's a little the worse for wear.
He leans back in his chair, as though he's considering what you're asking. And he looks over at Fred, and you look up at Fred too, and you remember how Fred acted when the dragon was first slayed. Like, he was all very gung-ho, we killed the dragon, this is awesome, I'm going to write a song about it. But now, he almost looks embarrassed that you've brought it up. Like, now that you're sitting in the presence of his mentor, Fred has this look on his face like, well, we killed a baby blue dragon, but
we kicked a puppy. That's what we did, is we kicked a puppy.
And
listen, you gotta start small.
Did you say that?
No.
Okay. Well, then Fred does. He's, well, I mean, it was only a hatchling. It was barely worthy of a song. We'll work our way up, you know. And Linus says, of course you will, Fred, my darling student.
Aww.
He's patronizing.
And Linus starts flipping through one of the books on his table. And he takes out a page of sheet music and hands it over to you, Eldove.
Alright.
And it's a song that Linus wrote about an adventuring group he was with, the time that they slayed an ancient red dragon that had been hounding the countryside of this dwarven kingdom for millennia. And they marched bravely up into the hills and went into the caves, into the fiery depths of the dragon's lair, and tricked it into giving them all of their gold. And then they came back the next year and slayed it and made feast of its steaks, and it goes on and on like this.
Eldove is very impressed.
So, Linus turns to Tarin. My student Fred tells me you're captain of a ship.
Yes.
You would have a daring pirate crew, I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a motley crew. I wouldn't necessarily call them all daring or all pirates, but there's definitely some of each.
And what brings you from your life of naval adventure to the stunning views of Garreton?
I don't remember.
We had some business locally, working on, various trade contracts and whatnot. Nothing particularly important, just convenient place to set down anchor for a few days.
And you get the sense that Linus is weighing your words as you say them. And then he looks over to Arik. He says, "And you, brother of Osprey, have come home after all this time to meditate with the High Priest, to study at his heels?"
Sure. He's not having any of Linus. It is. He's rubbing him completely the wrong way. Between his very extravagant lifestyle and just his exorbitant manner.
Well, he doesn't really have an extravagant lifestyle. Like I said, this is a very simple room that he's sitting in.
But then he told the story of how he's got to replace this one harp string.
That's true. He did tell that story.
So, yeah, that's where Arik's at right now.
Okay. Linus is going to spend the rest of the evening regaling you all with tales of his fantastic adventures. Unless somebody has something specific they want to talk to him about.
Orphan is drinking this in.
At
She
some
is loving
point,
these stories.
at some point in the evening, I feel like we should bring up the fact that we have his fucking string. So, after an adventure story, Eldove will mention, by the way, did you hear that the king has been murdered?
And Linus nods. He says, "It's the gravest of news. Just the gravest of news. And our hearts go out to his family in mourning. But one king, another king, who can keep them all straight?"
Here's the thing, though. I know that Fred would never. Shoot, let me start that sentence over. Judging by your great adventures, I know that you're a man of impeccable morals, but I fear someone is trying to frame your good name because your string was actually found at the scene of the crime.
And the look on Linus's face when you mention that his string was found at the scene of the crime is no measure of shock or surprise at all. He merely nods when you mention it. And he says, "Then clearly someone is trying to frame me. But the truth will win out in the end."
I say, do you think it could be that stagehand that you mentioned before?
Wilbur is very loyal to the theater, and very loyal to the troupe. And he points to his brow. He taps his temple a few times. He says, "I've made sure of it."
What does that mean?
That's not ominous at all.
That's pretty ominous.
How did you do that?
So there are methods of magical vetting that every member of my theater troupe must undergo to make sure, as you say, they are men of impeccable morals and true talent. None of my stagehands, none of my performers would stab me in the back. It is unthinkable. Just as it would be unthinkable that my good student Fred would stab your good captain in the back. And you turn around and Fred's holding a knife just above Tarin's back, and he sees everybody's looking at him and he darts it behind his back. No, that doesn't happen. He says, "Trust, my friends. Trust is a very powerful force in this world. But I don't leave trust up to faith. I have other methods."
Maybe if you were to use these other methods when we questioned him again, if, as you say, he didn't do it on purpose, he might know how the string left his possession.
So you wish to question my stagehand, a man that we've already determined is of impeccable morals?
Sure. I mean, if you're saying he's innocent, then he should have no reason to be worried about it. You just want to find out how it happened.
He doesn't look like he's convinced. And he says, I wish that I could aid you in your investigation, my friend, but absent some sort of proof that Wilbur is tangled up in this whole mess, I don't believe I'd wish to subject him to that sort of questioning.
So I haven't been through that part of the Ace Attorney game yet, so I don't have the thing that I can pull out to show him.
You do have the thing you could pull out to show him.
No, all we know is that his string was found, but he already knows that.
He doesn't know that you have it, though. Because remember, he told you that...
So what you gotta do is
Wilbur,
you gotta open up your menu and then go, take that!
Wilbur broke the harp string, and he's heard that it was found at the scene of the crime. You told him, but he doesn't believe you.
Are you saying the string is not broken?
I'm saying you have the string in your possession. All you have to do is pull it out. That's
all right. Yeah,
that's the missing
I'll do
piece.
that then.
That's the Ace Attorney method here.
Yeah. And in that case,
right? Because
I didn't think it would be all that convincing, but yeah, sure. I'll just say.
Pardon me while I go get my blue suit, and my spiky hair wig.
And when you pull the harp string out, Linus just reaches forward across his desk and snatches it out of your hand. Said, Wilbur told me that it was lost. Said, and you say it was found at the scene of this heinous crime.
How long ago was the harp broken?
It's a matter of days. Now that I think about it, perhaps Friday or Saturday. He stands up and he pounds his hands down on the desk. Says, we'll get to the bottom of this. And he storms past you out of the room.
Speaking of Ace Attorney.
Well, I'll follow him.
Okay.
Yeah.
You follow him down the path into the theater. And Linus starts shouting for someone to bring Wilbur to him. And eventually Wilbur kind of sheepishly pokes his head out of the living quarters in the back of the theater, the room that he stays in, sees Linus there, sees the harp string being held in his hand, and you see just all the color drain out of his face. So who all went with Linus back into the theater? Everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if we're talking about the crime now, I would go, because otherwise I'll do it. No, he's going back to the end, but if we're investigating, yeah.
Okay. And you all are standing in this back hallway in the theater, and one side leads back into the dressing room, which you know in turn leads out onto the stage. The other side of the hallway is lined with small rooms where the other performers, members of the theater troupe, live. And Linus moves aside to make space for you all to enter the hallway. And he says, Wilbur, my boy, these men have questions for you regarding the harp string you lied to me about.
I'm gonna look at Wilbur. Does it look like he's about to like break and run, or does he just look terrified?
There's really nowhere for him to run to. Okay. He would have to run past your group to get to the door leading out of the theater.
Yes, I didn't prepare detect magic. Fuck.
Oh, I can always detect magic.
As far as how Wilbur looks, he looks as though... Like, he looks devastated. He looks not really scared, but he looks like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so to speak.
Okay.
So who's...
I say to him, Wilbur, your master tells us that you are a man of impeccable morals, and yet this string was found at the scene of a heinous crime. Do you have any idea how it could have gotten there?
And Wilbur kind of stammers out a response. I don't know how it could have gotten there. As I told Linus, I was handling the harp and the string just broke off and I lost it. So I don't know how it got there.
Was anyone else handling the harp besides you?
Wilbur shakes his head and says, "Not that I know of, not that I'm aware. I'm the one who broke it. I admitted to that, and I apologized for it, and I paid for the replacement out of my own pocket. I did." And Linus nods in agreement when he says that.
I say to him, and now I'm gonna use intimidate.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, Wilbur, you have to have some idea of how this could have gotten to the crime. I mean, this is the murder of a king. Never mind being arrested. You could be put to death if you don't tell us anything.
Go ahead and roll your intimidate.
Don't. No, it's fine. Don't worry.
It's fine.
That's a 13.
That's a 13. You mentioned that Wilbur could possibly be put to death. And at the mention of it, you see he kind of steels himself a little bit. He stands up a little straighter. Says there's some sort of misunderstanding. Says I'm not a part of this, whatever it is. Whoever's authority you speak on, I don't recognize it. And he turns to Linus and says, "Is that why these men are here, Linus? They're here to threaten me with death?" Linus responds, "Certainly not, Wilbur. We just want the truth to come to light."
I'm going to turn to Tarin. I'm going to say, Tarin, do you see anything?
I'll go ahead and cast Detect Magic.
There is various types of magic emanating off of Linus, off of the clothing and jewelry he's wearing, but the harp string itself is not magical, and neither are anything else you can see in this hallway.
Tarin's just gonna shake his head no. Over the mind link, I'm gonna ask Khalil, are you buying this?
Khalil's not there.
Khalil's not here.
Khalil's not. The one person who's good at this sort of thing isn't here, right?
No, I got. I'm just sitting here and I'm like deliberately being quiet.
I mean, worst comes to worst, I can freaking charm him. If you think that Linus will accept that.
Who are you saying that to?
That's
Over the mind link to Destil.
Tarin, okay.
that is a pretty aggressive action, I think. You know.
Dude's been murdered, man.
So
Fair.
So what? I mean, he just turns to his boss and says, "Did you bring these people here to arrest or kill me?" That's his only reaction at this point.
What happened was Eldove said, "Hey man, the king has been killed,
Yeah.
and if you're caught up in this, you could be put to death." He tried to intimidate him, but failed.
Right.
And Wilbur was not at all intimidated. He doesn't think that Eldove has the authority to bring him in to answer for this crime. And he turned to Linus because he knows that Linus would protect him from that, even if he did.
Okay. Well, look, Wilbur, I mean, I'd love to help you out here, but we just have to know where that harp string came from.
And he says, "Well, we know where it came from. It came from Linus's harp. It's his harp from the Grand Adventures." He says, "I didn't mean to break it. Honestly, I didn't break it on purpose. Clearly, I didn't."
Sure, but I mean, you replaced the string. You bought a new one, right?
I sent away for it. Yeah, it's very, very rare. It's something that we can't produce here in town. It'll take some time before it's repaired.
And
So
you
what-
don't
Where did you send away for it?
And he rattles off. Actually, it wouldn't be that far away. I guess Kaer Tyrell would have a goldsmith that could make this particular string. It doesn't come from the top of the Fairy Mountain spring as though Linus said in his sing-song way. Yeah, he sent away for a goldsmith to send a replacement string from Kaer Tyrell.
And
Who
he
knew
doesn't.
that you'd placed the order?
I'm sorry, what?
Who knew that you'd placed the order?
Do you have paperwork or anything for it?
Paperwork? No, I simply gave gold to one of the merchants leaving for Kaer Tyrell.
And you don't remember what you did with the old
I'll turn
harp
to.
string.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
He says, I don't know. It got lost. I don't know what happened to it.
I'll turn to Tarin and say, this merchant is another possible link in the chain. For all we know, it was one of these replacement strings that they had commissioned. Not an original from the harp.
Everyone try an insight check.
Alright.
What's the DC?
I'll let you know if you pass.
I got
Tarin gets a 10.
24.
Insight. 24.
Okay. Those of you who rolled really high on this, that orange and red die sitting there with the big numbers on them. Wilbur very clearly didn't lose this string of incredible value, and he starts offering up information about how, oh, it just got lost, and I don't know where it is. That information spills out of his mouth even when not requested. He's very clearly lying about it.
Okay. I'll say, well... Okay, go ahead.
Why would you lose, obviously, a string that still has so much value to it? Why would you not keep a track of that?
And he
I say, sort of pressing him a little bit.
He kind of stammers out a bit. He gives you a string of like non-answers about how he was afraid that Linus was going to catch him and be really upset, and he knew that he couldn't hide the string, and before he knew what had happened, he lost track of it. He didn't know where it was, and then he came forward and told Linus the truth, and he was forgiven, and they made arrangements to, but he didn't mean to break it. See, he didn't mean to break it, and he doesn't know what happened to the original one.
I'm gonna look at Tarin and shake my head.
Yeah, Tarin will just nod. So, Wilbur... after you lost the string, what did you do next? Do you remember?
He says, like I told you, I came to Linus, and I told Linus the truth. I told him I didn't mean to break it, but that I could pay for a replacement. I had a small sum of money that I could put together and send off for a replacement. That's what I did next, yes.
And, I really do want to help you out here, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to you, but look, buddy, everything is kind of pointing to you. So, I mean, realistically, again, this is the murder of a king, so if there's anything you can do to help me out, I'm going to use persuasion here.
Okay.
Try and see if I can convince him to, be a little bit more forthcoming.
Okay.
Yeah, and I join in and I say, yeah, you're clearly the last person who's seen with a string, and now the string was found at the crime scene, so...
Okay.
That's a 21 on persuasion.
Okay, you can make that roll with advantage, but you don't have to, because the 21 is... And...
Sufficient.
You start trying to goad the truth out of him by pointing out, the king is dead, and this string was found there, etc., etc. And eventually, you break him. He breaks down. He says, all right, I gave the string to my lady love. She asked for it. She said, as a token of my love for her, if I would gift her one of Linus's golden harp strings, it would solidify our love eternal. As far as I know, she still has it. And he turns to Linus.
Give Orphan this sort of raised eyebrow look, like, are you buying this?
Alright, I'll make an insight check on that one.
Okay. And he turns to Linus and he says, my master, it was all done for love. All of the deception was done for my lady love. And he keeps mentioning this over and over. And then he changes his story. He says that his girlfriend in town, who is one of the magician students in training up at the castle, asked him to bring her this token of his affection, and he did so. He snuck into Linus's house, he broke the string off himself, gave it to his girlfriend, then concocted this story about how he broke the string and lost it and sent away for a replacement. And as he's explaining this to Linus, you see that Linus is nodding approvingly at the young man's actions being done for romantic purposes. Was this 3 your insight roll?
Yes.
Yeah, he's spilling his guts now.
Yeah.
So Linus is the judge from Ace Attorney. He's like, oh yes, that makes complete sense now, even though he's lying to me the whole time. Okay,
Yeah,
no, that's
and
totally fine.
And I'll nod to Tarin. Yeah, he's on the up and up.
I'm going to take out the string. I'm going to say, well, I'm worried that she doesn't care about you as much as you care about her.
Well, Linus is holding the string right now.